Shalom, shalom, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to Reading with Shilo. Welcome back. We have a part three. Part two of chapter 3. Part 2 of chapter 3 of the Valley of the Dry Bones. Now, Dr. Rudolphf R. Windsor. Dr. Rudolphf R. Windsor. The curses of what we own. Curses. We're going to get into it. Pick up where we left off. The curses. The curses of the loss of identity. That's definitely, man. Definitely one. Yeah, I know we definitely fall under the loss of identity. The Valley of the Dry Bones, the conditions that face Black people in America by Dr. Rudolphf R. Windsor. Chapter 3, Part 2, the curse of the loss of identity. The word identity refers to a people's nationality. The word identity refers to a people's nationality, culture, history, and language. A people gets its nationality and language from the nation to which they belong. Germans are from Germany, Chinese from China, Egyptians from Egypt, Mexicans from Mexico, and Black Americans from where? Of all the nationalities in America, Black Americans are the only ethnic group that is not called by its true national name. This is quite interesting. It's quite interesting. We see here that the Black Americans lack a nationality. But why? The reason is that the Lord God of heaven and earth has permitted the enemies of the African Judean to take away our true nationality. Do we have any biblical proof of this? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. They have said, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel will be no more in remembrance." Psalms 83, chapter 83, verse 4 and 5. The conspiracy to cut Blacks off from being a nation began in ancient times and continued unto the present day. Exodus chapter 1, verses 8 through 22. In the cemetery of horror in America, the slave masters called Blacks by many scornful names except those of their true nationalities. Some of these names are Blackbird, Blackie, Tar Baby, Coon, Crow, Black like a Crow, Negro, Colored, Pickaninny, Negro, or Nigger. Some of these names have passed from usage. However, a few of them still linger in our current society. When I was a little boy living in central New Jersey, I was called nigger and darky many times. At that time, I would see whites tanning in the sun. This contradiction confused me. And it was not until years later that I realized that whites really did not like white skin. And I wouldn't even call them white. Ain't none of them got a white skin. Oh, there we go. It was understood by many people that Black Americans had been imported from Africa, but the term African was never used as an honorable word, nor was it used frequently. The terms widely used were Negro or colored. Why did they use the word African infrequently? Why did they use the word African infrequently? Although the name Africa is not the name of a nationality, but a continent with many nations and tribes, the white supremacists made sure that they did not call Black Africans or Blacks Africans. Their objective was clear. They did not want Blacks to identify with Africa at all, because Africa was the seat of the earliest civilizations, and Africa is where the original Black Hebrew Israelites developed. Egypt and Ethiopia. From the mother, a person receives his nourishment and guidance. Mother Africa is like a mighty tree. The Black man in America was cut off from the roots of this tree. As a result, the Black man died socially. Blacks are suffering under the curses of God for disobedience. Blacks are suffering under the curses of God for disobedience. But why, Lord? But why? For disobedience. Thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee into captivity. Indeed, for many years, the Black man in South, Central, and North America, who is the true Israelite, has become an astonishment to all races. An astonishment means a sad. An astonishment means a sad, pitiful amazement. An astonishment means a sad, pitiful amazement. A sad or pitiful amazement. Let's see, astonishment. 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 Astonishment, the state of being astonished. Amazement, a cause of amazement or wonder. A cause of amazement or wonder. Astonishing, an astonishment. An astonishment means a sad, pitiful amazement. The general attitude of some Black people is so disgraceful that it motivates other races to observe us with astonishment. Just to give you one case out of thousands, I witnessed a Korean selling his fruits and vegetables from a vending stand at 13th and Market Streets in Philadelphia. Suddenly, the Korean saw and heard three Black men standing on the opposite corner using loud, foul language and acting like damn fools. The Korean shook his head in disbelief and astonishment. Now I shall explain the meaning of the words proverb and byword. The words proverb and byword actually have the same meaning. Here in the 37th verse, the Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary. Let me see if that's right. The collegiate ain't the new one. The Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary says that a proverb is a name, person, or thing that has become a byword. It says a proverb is a name, a person, or a thing that has become a byword. Let's see. Proverb. Proverb. Where's my other dictionary? Bum, bum, bum. Proverb. P-R-O. I'm looking for the word proverb. 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 A proverb has a couple of them. Let's see. Proverb. A brief, peculiar epigram. A brief, peculiar epigram. Or maxim. A byword. Proverb. Definition number 2. To speak of proverbially. To provide with a proverb. Proverb. Or proverb. That dictionary don't say what you say, my boy. It says a byword. Let us take careful notes of how this same dictionary defines the word byword, a nickname, a person or a thing that proverbially as a type, a person or thing taken proverbially as a type, usually in a bad sense. Hence, an object of scorn. Now we understand that the words proverb and bywords are nicknames used in a scornful manner in substitution for our true nationality. As I have mentioned previously, the words Negro, nigger, and so on are nicknames used in substitution for blacks' true nationality, which is Hebrew Israelites. The early Europeans who came to America assigned these scornful bywords to blacks, and they continue to live and grow in our words like wild weeds. These names have been planted so deeply into the psyche that they call each other by the word nigger more often than whites do black people. You have heard the expressions, that nigga stole my money, oh, nigga ain't shit. The early whites gave blacks these nicknames so that they would not remember their true nationality. Now, blacks know that they are still under the deadly curse as spoken by the prophet Moses. How do I know this? Because black people have not cast aside many of our slave masters' ways and ideas. In the next paragraph, I shall show how the word Negro, was set on fire, discarded, and in its place, blacks made the word black fashionable. The term black developed out of the civil rights struggle of the 1960s when Stokely Carmichael, the grand leader of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Let's see what this is. Harangued. HARANGUED. Harange. QUED. Harang. Herring. A herring. Herring. Harange. He ranged. Here. Has two definitions. Let's see. A speech addressed to a public assembly, a ranting speech or writing. Why am I not hearing it? Why am I not hearing it? Harange, harange. The other definition is to make a harange, to address in a rant or speech writing on the folly of my ways. Harange. I guess he ranted. The grand leader of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee addressed in a ranting speech or writing to us on Black Power. Harange. I think I'm still pronouncing that wrong. Harange. At that time, Black Americans acquired a new awareness of Black pride. Blacks threw the hair processes out of the window and the Afro style became the new look. The widespread usage of the word Black instead of the antiquated words Negro and colored was a step forward. Nevertheless, we have not arrived yet at a uniform word that to designate the nationality of the Black people in America. However, I have told you that the Blacks are the original Israelites. Most Americans use the word Black in the wrong context. The word Black is an adjective, and it should only be used to describe a noun or pronoun. For example, a Black man or a black shoe. There is one instance when the word Black is used incorrectly. It is as follows. There are various ethnic groups in America. The Germans, the French, the Irish, the Spanish, the Koreans, and the Blacks. Do you observe anything inconsistent in the above statement? Your answer ought to be an absolute yes. The word Blacks should be substituted with the word Afro-Americans or Afro-Israelites. Now, if we want to describe variations in color, we can rewrite the statement like this. There are various colors in the American population, such as brown, yellow, white, and black. If we continue to use, I know you ain't about to go to sleep on me, my boy. If we continue to use the first statement, which gives a nationality, go lay over there and go to sleep. Go lay over there if you're trying to go to sleep. You're going to sit on me. We're going to read, my boy. We're going to read the book. Read the book. All right, let me finish. Where was I? Mm-hmm. If we continue to use the first statement, which gives a nationality to the other races, such as German, and at the same time, we use the word Black. What we are doing is depriving Black of a nationality. In short, the word Black should be discarded if it is the intention of the speaker or writer to refer to a nationality, and it can be retained if he wishes to refer to a description of a color. Retaining any signs of the slave mentality is equal to holding on to the curses. The children, or the creator God, the creator God placed blacks under the curses of the byword. So that their nationality would be taken away. As a consequence of this deprivation or taking away of nationality, most Afro-Americans don't identify with Afro-Israelite culture. The Creator God said that he would scatter Afro-Israelites into corners. That means from one end of the earth to the other end, and would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 26. After the slave traders took the Israelites from the African coast, see Babylon and Timbuktu, they deported them to South, Central, and North America, even to the most islands of the Caribbean Sea. Don't you know that the black people in the Western Hemisphere are not supposed to know that they are the true Israelites? And when they hear this news, it is supposed to sound incredible to them. For the Creator said he would make the remembrance of them to cease among them. Century after century, the black man in America thought that his true nationality was Negro. And some old timers still hold on to the scornful bywords today. Nevertheless, the spirit of the Creator is moving among the black people. And many have rejected this infamous word Negro, and they return to their true African Israelite ancestry. This is the destiny of the black man in America, and the ultimate objective of the repossession of the land of Israel after the Battle of Armageddon. Again, the Creator was tempted to say in Deuteronomy 32, verses 26 to 28, that he would destroy the remembrance of the Afro-American Israelites completely. Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, and lest they should say, our hand is high, meaning they are powerful, and the white man puts the curses on the Israelites. And the Lord has not done all of this. Indeed, the Creator put the curses on the Afro-Israelites in Deuteronomy 28, verse 15. He gave man the power to perform this. In the latter days, the Lord shall judge this people, Israelites, and repent himself for his servants, the Israelites, when he seeth their power is gone. Deuteronomy 32, verse 36. The black man in America is the only race that does not have any power and does not use what the little power he has properly. Something under my foot. No. Remember that the loss of nationality is a curse, but the darkness and blindness that has fallen on the Israelites, black Americans, is only for a measure of time, a limited time. And in the latter days, which is now, shall enlightenment and deliverance come to the Israelites. Leviticus 26, verses 44 and 45. Jeremiah chapter 30, verses 1 through 11. Romans chapter 11, verses 25 through 26. And Daniel chapter 12, verses 1 through 4. But before enlightenment arrives, the Creator said the Israelites would serve other gods, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even until the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, italics, the authors, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. 64. That's right. That's exactly where we are. Right there. Exactly. The point I want to emphasize in this verse is the serving of other gods. What does the Creator of the heavens and the earth mean when he says thou shalt serve other gods? What does he mean? I don't know. He means more than just bowing down to idols made of wood and stone. You must understand that each religion throughout the world has its own dogmas, traditions, rules, ideology, philosophy, and history. It has its own dogma, traditions, rules, ideology, philosophy, and history. And when you conform and obey their rules, you are serving other gods. You got it? I think you got it. We'll get it. Don't force. Oh, there you go. The Creator commanded us not to copy the ways of the other nations. Learn not the ways of the heathens, for the ways of the heathens are vain. Jeremiah 10:1. The ways of the heathen are vain, like Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving. As the ways of the heathen are vain, man. From the days that the Creator brought the Afro-Israelites out of Egypt and Africa until the present day, they have been learning and adopting the culture of their enemies and oppressors. And the more they try to be like their persecutors, there you go. The more they try to be like their persecutors, the more they detest us. As a social historian and interpreter of history, I conclude that the most an interpreter of history. I conclude that the most destructive force that undermined and precluded the development of the Black community was the extremism of the Blacks. Desire to be like the white people and to get along with them, rather than to get along with their fellow Blacks. It's a plan. As a result, Black people forgot how to get along with each other. The time the Afro-Israelite arrived in the Western Hemisphere was the time that the indoctrination and learning of the ways of the other nationalities began. No, sir. With systematic regimentation. The Afro-Israelites, during slavery, served the slave master physically and mentally. They learned psychologically and values of white supremacy, which were pernicious. They learned the psychology. They learned the psychology, my bad, and the values of white supremacy, which were pernicious. 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 P-E-R-N. P-E-R-N. There we go. What is that called? Let's see. Hold on. Let me mark this and we'll look and see what that's called. Pernicious. So I can see. Let's see what it's called. It is called a Persian cat. It says any of a breed of stocky, round-headed domestic cats that have a long, silky coat and thick ruff. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for pernicious. Pernicious. I'm gonna get it. Pernicious. 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 Highly injurious or destructive, deadly, wicked. Pernicious. Good job. Good job. You said it right.
I said it right.
You said it correctly. Correctly. Get off my chair like that. Pernicious.
Stop.
Pernicious. Which were deadly, highly injurious or to their own welfare, or pernicious. Pernicious to their own welfare. You better be careful because you're going to be careful when you do pernicious stuff. Pernicious. Sticking your hand in places where they don't belong can be pernicious to you. It can be very dangerous or destructive. Pernicious. Destructive. Pernicious. The Afro-Israelites during slavery served the slave masters physically and mentally. They learned the psychology and values of white supremacy, which were pernicious to their own welfare. They learned and believed that whiteness was superior and blackness was inferior. Even some still say, if you are white, you are right. If you are black, get back. If you're brown, stick around. If you're yellow, you are a better fellow. A better fellow. The proponents of white supremacy in America endeavored to justify slavery by saying that the blacks were uncivilized and not Christians. They used this same rationale to justify white supremacy. The black people are descendants of the great black civilization that existed for thousands of years. The whites uncivilized them and made them savages after bringing them to America. This purely meant that the political, educational, and religious system in the United States brainwashed the black man and stripped him of everything. There you drop your cup. And stripped him of everything that was refined or virtuous. Gradually, he took away the blacks' history, language. I said, finally, he took away the blacks' history, language, and culture, and prohibited them from learning to read and write. Yeah, they prohibited them. They took the little children away from their mothers and fathers and sold them to other masters. They taught these children about white gods, angels, and heroes. Heroes. It looked like that's Ezekiel. That's Ezekiel in the valley of the dry bones. The dry bones. That's what it is. You see the bones on the ground? Of the bones.
I see the bones.
The bones are on
The tree. I see the bones.
And the tree.
And the seas.
Good job.
There's a bone.
And the hills back there.
There's a bone.
All right. Let me finish reading. We're going to read about the valley of the dry bones. We are those bones. He's asking, can we live? Can we come out of the dead state we in? That's what's being. Yeah. Can we live? Can these dry bones live? Can they? No. Oh man, I think they can. I think they can. Well, boy, you already eat. I don't want to hear nothing. All right, let me see. The whites uncivilized them and made them savages after bringing them to America. This purely meant, what you got? All right, be fine. This purely meant that the political, educational, and religious system in the United States brainwashed the black man and stripped him of everything that was refined or virtuous. Gradually, he took away the blacks' history, language, and culture and prohibited them from learning to read and write. They took the little children away from their mothers and fathers and sold them to other masters. They taught these children about white gods, angels, and heroes, but not black heroes. They taught that everything white was right, pure, great, and good, and everything black was ugly, dirty, inferior, and incapable, wrong and evil. The religious philosophy of the white supremacy dehumanized the Afro-Hebrews. White supremacists did not recognize blacks as human beings, but placed them on the same level as animals. This is the reason they branded their slaves with hot irons, just like they branded their cattle. Supreme Court Chief Justice Taney ruled in the Dred Scott case that no Negro had any rights to a white man must respect. No Negro had any white rights that a white man must respect. Leave my cup alone. You're going to sit up? Well, hey. All right. You can sit up. We just let Daddy be able to read. I got to be able to read, man. I got to see the pages.
It's when you see the pages.
Oh, I can see the pages, then I can read.
And the pages.
Yeah, that's a page, but we're on this page.
It's on this page.
No, we're on this page right here.
It's on this page.
Yes, sir. All right. Where was I?
You tell me nothing.
Supreme Court Chief Justice Taney ruled in the Dred Scott case that no Negro had any rights that a white man must respect. A slave could not take his master to court for any mistreatment. All avenues for justice and help were closed to him. He was utterly helpless and felt inferior. And my nose itch.
What's your nose?
Yeah, my nose itch, man. In the process of time, the black man began to believe in the superiority of the white man's system. He bowed to the white man, served him in every aspect of his life, and worshiped him as God. Moreover, the masters painted a white Jesus and gave it to the black man and to serve as God. As a result, it was easy for the black man to obey and believe the white man without question. Without question. In truth, whether some of us want to admit it or not, the white man became the black man's God. They employed white standards and values to decide what was wrong and right. In addition, many put very little credence in what other black men said. Most blacks served the educational religious system in America. Move. It is an oppressive system that thrives and supports itself on the exploitation of the blacks and the poor. For this reason, the existing system cannot render full justice or share the wealth of this country. Ooh. My nose itching, my boy. We know the kind of justice black men receive. Know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And where do you find this truth? Not on your eyelids, not on the tip of your nose, not at the bottom of the well. Stop serving the God of white supremacy and cast away the curse. Psychological curses. Ooh, man, that was a long section. Yeah, that was a long section, man. That was a long section, but we still got more to go. But that section itself was long. Just that lost the curse of identity. Man. All right. Man, it's a lot to read. But we gonna keep reading, man. We gonna keep reading, man. That's right. We gonna keep reading. We gonna keep pushing. We're gonna keep pushing. I feel like y'all are messing my chapter. All right. Psychological curses. Psychological curses are those that exert a mental strain on the mind. These curses must have fear, depression, worry, agony, loss of self-esteem, and hopelessness. Some of these curses are explained below. Let me put it up. Get out of the way, boss. Get your pinky out of the way. Get your pick head out the way. Psychological curses. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled everywhere, and evermore, and no man shall save thee. Deuteronomy 28:59. The word grope means to casually feel and find one's way. I'm a grope. I'm groping for man. Many people ask the question, what does a blind gropeth in darkness mean? When, in fact, a blind man can't see anyway. One African Israelite answered this question thus: all my life, I have read this verse, and I did not understand it until the other night when I saw a blind man walking in the daytime. There are people around to guide him. This verse is a very profound verse when you can reflect on its deep meaning. It refers to the severe suffering and agony that the Afro-Israelites would endure in their land of persecution. The suffering of the blind man who is trying to find his way late at night in a strange place, and there is no one around to guide him. May God have mercy on his soul. And thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. Deuteronomy 28:34. Many slaves suffered insanity, madness, and hysteria when they saw the slave masters beat, rape, kill, and sell their loved ones. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, and from one end of the earth even unto the other. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot rest, but the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. Deuteronomy 28:64 and 65. Slavery was harsh and cruel in America, that many slaves committed suicide and infanticide. Infanticide. I think that's the killing of children. Infanticide. 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 I think it has something to do with the bada boom of the little ones, so they couldn't get taken away. Infanticide. Killing of an infant. One who kills an infant. Man. People still doing that today. They commit infanticide. Man. As an example, these verses to you, I am positive you can understand that these curses are applicable 100% to the black man in the Americas, more so than anyone else in the world. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. Deuteronomy 28, verse 66. For centuries, the destiny and lives of the Afro-Americans remained in the hand of white people, although President Lincoln promulgated the emancipation of the slaves in 1863, and the federal government promised protection from the free man. For the free man, the Ku Klux Klan emerged to terrorize, intimidate, and kill the Afro-Israelites. Thy life shall hang in doubt before thee. Eric Lincoln, in his book, The Negro Pilgrimage in America, states that between 1900 and 1931, there were 1,886 lynchings in America. And this figure does not include the murder of blacks by arson, poison, clubbing, strangulation, or gunfire. Moreover, there has been reported a rash of murders of black males, men, and youths throughout America, most of them unsolved and racially related during the last 2 years. Many of these murders occurred in Buffalo, New York, and other cities. This information was reported by ABC News reporter Ted Koppel on Nightline. Ted Koppel. Man, my nose itch like crazy. And thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have no assurance of thy life. Look at the picture. Gunpoint. The prophetical curses were proclaimed by Moses, and they shall continually plague us until we return to our God. Blacks had better wake up before it's too late. The Ku Klux Klan and other right-wing organizations are on the upsurge. Black people must plan, organize, sacrifice, instruct, and control their economy and community. This is the first step. In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were evening. And in the evening thou shalt say, would God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart where thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. Deuteronomy 28, verse 67. Fear, death, and destruction remain with the black from the moment the slavers took him aboard the slave ships until the present day. Now, throughout the summer and fall of 1919, more than 20 race riots erupted in the United States. Like swarms of locusts, and blood flowed like water on the streets of the American cities. The worst race riot engulfed the city of Chicago, where whites killed a lonely black boy because he chose to go to the white beach. The white beach. What is that? That's Snoopy, man. That's Snoopy. The boy just wanted to show the whites how much he loved them. And it cost him his life. And the whites and the lives of many more blacks, my bad. The riot ensued for 13 days, left 38 people dead and 537 injured. And about 1,000 black families were made homeless because of the National Guard's, my bad. And about 1,000 black families were made homeless before the National Guard restored order. Oh, my nose itch, man. Oh, my nose. Oh. Horrible episodes like these caused thousands of black people to feel deep sorrow and hopelessness in America, in the American dream that invariably resulted in a nightmare. Hey, take that out of here. Thank you. Give it there. Let me show you how to do it. Let me show you how you do it. Turn it. And watch him walk. All right, take it out of there. Take it out of there. Take it out of there. Horrible episodes like these caused thousands of black people to feel deep sorrow and hopelessness in the American dream that invariably resulted in a nightmare. It is terrible enough for an individual to feel a condition of despair, but when the entire race becomes a victim to it, the whole social structure collapses. This is precisely what happened to the black man in America. And this hopelessness continues even until today. because we are still suffering under the curses of God. We deliberately refuse to obey his laws. As a result, we are punished.
What he's doing?
He's holding a gun to that man. Yeah, you see, as a policeman holding a gun, look to the black. It says a policeman shooting an unarmed black man. He shot him with that gun.
What's that smell?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I do not know because I don't know what you smell. What you smell? What it smell like? I don't smell nothing. I don't smell nothing yet. I know what I'm gonna smell later. Cornbread. That's what I'm gonna smell later. Cornbread. Yeah, I'm gonna make us a cornbread.
I want this.
All right. I said, all right. As a result, we are punished. The Creator God said, I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you. Leviticus 26, verse 17. The above verse is crystal clear. For centuries, the black man in America has been willfully murdered, and those that hated blacks have ruled over them. The Ku Klux Klan murdered black people like they hunted wild geese. Moreover, some police kill black people as if they are hunting on a safari. In the black ghettos throughout America, the police are practically all white, and they behave like an accompanying army, an occupying. And they behave like an occupying army, not a company. Shooting first and asking the dying man questions later. In the city of Philadelphia alone, and in recent years, the police handcuffed victims behind their backs and shot them. I heard when blacks are killed by police, the excuses are usually weak ones, like my service revolver accidentally went off. And the picture I was looking at was a picture of a police shooting an unarmed black man. It says, these officers were set scot-free by juries who were, on the most part, white. During the Cornell Warren case, the dead black victim, Mrs. Warren, the mother of the dead boy, cried pitiful sobs. Cried pitiful sobs. As she went out of the courtroom with tears running down her face. She repeated over and over, how could they let him go? How could they let him go? There is no justice. There is no justice. Many of us can sympathize or empathize, with Mrs. Warren. She was so brokenhearted, faint, and weak as she departed from the court that her lawyer and relative had to support her as she walked down the hall. Mrs. Warren's mental anguish reminds us of what God said in Leviticus 26, verse 14, 33, and 36. But if you will not hearken unto me and will not do all these commandments, I will scatter you among the heathen, the non-Jews, or other nationalities, and upon them that are left of you, I will send a faintness into their hearts, into the land of their enemies. Did Mrs. Warren really expect justice? While we are under the curse, we shall not obtain justice until we get the knowledge and power. I shall explain more about power very shortly to get these officers free. The system, shortly. To get these officers free, the system did a lot of wheeling and dealing, and then passed a lot of money. The system. What's up, my boss? What's up? Mm-hmm. He hit you?
Yes, sir.
Y'all need to learn how to play together. You got to keep your hands to yourself. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have to keep your hands to yourself. Mm-hmm.
Do I know?
Did you apologize to him, your brother? So apologize to him. Apologize to him and give him a hug. Let him know you're sorry. That's how you're gonna do. Give your brother a hug. Hey, tell you apologize to your brother and give him a hug. That's all you gotta do. What I tell you to do, huh? What I tell you to do? Apologize to your brother, man. There you go. And you gotta tell him what you're sorry for. I'm sorry for hitting you, DJ. That's what you gotta tell him. You gotta know what you did. You don't just hug him. What did you do? You gotta tell him what you did.
What's that sound?
Did you know you're not supposed to hit him? You're not supposed to hit him.
What's that sound?
Sound like the trash man.
Come on, where's that go? Man, you go.
All right. The sinful world stands on three things: money, money, and more money. The American people worship the golden calf. In view of this, God will intervene soon to put an end to the injustice. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee till they be destroyed. Why? Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. Deuteronomy 22, verse 45. Just as the legal courts punish the man when he violates the law, likewise the Creator God punishes humanity when we violate his laws. Many have been expelled from their homeland Israel. For most, many have been expelled from their homeland Israel for almost 2,000 years, and they are still violating crimes. And they are still violating God's laws in our land of captivity, the United States. The crimes in the Black community are reported to be the highest in the nation. It is so terrible that we cannot even tolerate to live around each other. It is so terrible that we cannot even tolerate to live around each other. And they, the curses, shall be upon thee for a sign and a wonder, and upon thy seed, thy children forever. Deuteronomy 28, verse 46. The Creator, who controls the course of human events in the world, said that these curses will be on the Afro-Israelites and on thy seed for a sign. A sign for what? A sign that indicates the fact that the people who suffered the curses are those who violated God's laws. As stipulated in the Bible, also, it is a sign that the sufferers of the curses are the descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel. Whether the sufferers know it or not, whether the sufferers know it or not, it is a sign that the sufferers of the curses are the descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel, whether the sufferers know it or not. So, man, it's up here. I had to go get my screwdriver. It's up there. It's up there. I'm going to show you. That's a 12 chart sign. Some people don't believe it, you know. Some people don't believe the chart. But that ain't up to me if they don't believe it. For what if some don't believe? Whether they believe the chart or not, it's still on the gate that I agree that the Israelites are the so-called African Americans here in America, along with other people. The Caribbean, the North, Central, South America, even parts of Africa, Asia. These curses will be on blacks forever until they cease from evil ways. Then the curses will be removed from them. Deuteronomy 30, verses 1 through 13. My nose is killing me. It is written that when all of these blessings and curses shall have come upon the blacks, and if they shall remember these curses, sorrows among the nations where the Lord has scattered them, and shall return unto the Lord and obey his laws, then the Lord will remove the curses and return them to their homeland Israel. Then he will bless them above their great ancestors, and they shall be the head and not the tail. And he will put these curses upon their enemies. Deuteronomy 30 verses 1 through 7 and 28 verses, chapter 28 verses 13, verse 13. Oh, wait, we're going to give it. Well, I'm going to try to finish it off. We only got a couple of pages left. We're going to see how long live. Let me go. The Miami race riots. The riot in Miami, Florida in 1980 was the worst racial disturbance in over a decade in the land of liberty and justice for all. The death toll reached 15. Blacks and whites were beaten and in a few cases mutilated. The property damage exceeded more than $100 million. And what irritated it all, or what initiated it all? When we scrutinize the white supremacist kangaroo court system in the land of the free and the home of the brave, we recognize that the court system failed miserably to punish those guilty of murder. The Miami riots began on May 17th of 1980. I was only 5 months old. And this stuff was going on. Because an all-white jury exonerated 4 white police officers of blame in beating a black insurance agent, Arthur McDuffie, to death. Arthur McDuffie. The facts of the McDuffie case are really outrageous. Although the stories differ on which officer may have struck the first blow, there is a consensus that several police officers bestially beat McDuffie and later falsified the police reports to give the impression that it was an accident. On December 17th of 1979, as revealed by police reports, McDuffie drove his motorcycle through a red light. And when the police pursued him, he tried to outrun them. The stories vary as to whether McDuffie crashed or gave himself up. The first police report said he crashed and struck his head on the sidewalk. Moreover, it said he then resisted the police with such great strength that they had to forcibly subdue him. This becomes an unbelievable story when one considers the kind of injury anyone receives in a motorcycle accident. After McDuffie was halted, several policemen with nightsticks sat on him. Several policemen with nightsticks sat on him. Huh? That sounds familiar. He was on the ground, motionless, and one of them beat him about the head. This kind of beating inflicted horrible injury. The coroner said McDuffie's skull had been cracked like an egg. A Dade County medical examiner said it was tantamount to falling 4 stories. Before Moses died, he predicted that if we would not keep God's laws, all these curses would happen to us. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night. and shall have no assurance of thy life. Deuteronomy 28, verse 66. In some cases, when a white person kills a black man or woman, the murder goes free. In certain areas, this might have happened right in your community. And so it was in the McDuffie case, his murderers got off scot-free. How did this happen? The answer is simple. Blacks are under the curses of God Almighty and don't have any power. This is what the establishment did in Miami. They removed the trial from Miami to another area of the state. Secondly, they chose an all-white jury and reduced the jury from the traditional 12-member to 6. The black man got half of something that was not worth anything in the first place. The black man got half of something that was not worth anything in the first place. It was as if we were supposed to get the whole apple, and our explorers handed you one half of a rotten one. The black man in this country will always be shortchanged because he is under the curses and does not have any power. The whites have the power. The whites have the power. I got the power. That is why they can change the rules of the game and get away with it. The black man is not supposed to have any real power because he disobeyed the Almighty. Listen what the Almighty said through the mouth of his prophet Moses. But if you will not hearken unto me and will not do all these commandments, I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and I will break the pride of your power, and I will make your heaven as iron and your earth as brass. The Almighty will make our troubles heavy as iron and brass, and ye shall have no power to stand before your enemies. Leviticus 26, 14, 17, 19, 37. Isn't the prediction of the Almighty crystal clear? At this juncture, if you don't understand the substance of what I have written, then I can only say it is not for you to understand. Now, a little more about injustice. Man, at this juncture, if you don't understand the substance of what I have written, then I can only say it is not for you to understand. Now, a little more about injustice. The injustice that is constantly committed against the black race in the land of the stars and stripes is watched by the entire world. And they do not approve of the way Uncle Sam treats his black adopted nephews because of his stain on the reputation of America. The prestige of the United States has fallen considerably on the global scale. Let's not deal in rhetoric, but let the facts speak for themselves. Just recently, in the year of 1979, the students in Iran stormed the American embassy and captured the personnel. Soon, a directive came down from the higher echelon to release the black hostages. The Iranians did not hesitate to disclose the reason for their release. They said that the black man suffered enough in the land of America and they sympathized with him. How to get unity and power. How to get unity and power. In order to obtain power, we must begin to respect and obey the laws of the Almighty. I realize that by now that some of you probably think that I sound like a person who plays the same old tune over and over again, but there is no other way of getting around it. We have tried other ways, and they have utterly failed. So let's try the way of the Almighty. First of all, in order to acquire power, it is essential to possess unity. In order to obtain unity, It is imperative to remove the curses that preclude or prevent the acquisition of unity. It is the flagrant violation of God's laws that retains the curse on us and prevents unity. And that law is as follows: thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Man, that's a big one. That's a big one. Thy neighbor means thy brother, Leviticus 19, verse 17, who belongs to the same race as you belong to. Your neighbor is your brother who belongs to the same race as you do. Your cousin could be your brother. Your real neighbor, if he belongs to the same race as you do, that's your neighbor. Also, the Almighty instructed us to love the stranger, a member of another race, Leviticus 19:33 through 34. However, we are instructed to love our own race first. Charity begins at home. Love thy neighbor as thyself. In essence, this means after you have loved and done for thyself, then love and do for thy neighbor. In view of this, many Black people have the whole thing backward. They love first other races instead of themselves. They will many times recognize and greet other races before their own kind. They will believe and trust another race before they trust their own. The way Black people behave is like putting the cart before the horse, as if they expected the cart to lead the horse. This is the reason that Blacks have not attained a good result, power, unity, and so forth during captivity in America. Their minds are in captivity. Their minds are in captivity. Man, my nose is itching like crazy. With this kind of attitude prevailing among Blacks, can you say that they love each other? No. Since they don't love each other and can't stand to be around each other, then I ask you, with these negative attitudes, how can they come together in unity? They can't, because they have violated one of the main laws of God. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Man, oh man, oh man. Man, oh man. You put your boots on? Good job. As a result of this violation, the curse and punishment remains with Blacks, and they are just as divided now as freemen as they were divided under slavery. Here's a list of some of the laws of the Almighty Creator which we violate. Here's a list of some of the laws of the Almighty Creator which we violate that are essential for the maintenance of the orderly society or community or acquisition of unity. Number 1, thou shalt not kill, Exodus 20:13. Number 2, thou shalt not steal, Exodus 20:15. Number 3, thou shalt not commit adultery, Exodus 20:14. Number 4, thou shalt not bear false witness, perjury, Exodus 20:16. Number 5, thou shalt not covet or want thy neighbor's goods, Exodus 20:17. Number 6, honor thy father and mother, Exodus 20:12. Number 7, thou shalt have no other gods before me, Exodus 20:3. Number 8, and he that smiteth or beateth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death, Exodus 21:15. Number 9, and he that curseth his father or his mother shall be put to death, Exodus 20:17. Number 10, thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him, For ye, the children of the Israelites, were strangers in the land of Egypt or Africa. Exodus 22 and 21. Number 11, ye shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. Exodus 22 and 22. Number 12, if thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not be to him as a usurer, neither shalt thou lay usury or interest. Exodus 22 and 25. Number 13, ye shall not therefore oppress one another, exploit or get over on. Leviticus 25 and 17. Number 14, thou shalt not steal, neither deal falsely, nor lie one to another. Leviticus 19 and 11. Number 15, thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. Leviticus 19 and 13. Number 16, thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people. Leviticus 19 and 16. And number 17, if a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. Leviticus 20 and 13. Number 18, and if a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and ye shall slay the beast. Number 19, and if a woman approach unto a beast and lie down thereto, thou shalt kill the woman and the beast. Leviticus 20 and 16. Number 20, thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Leviticus 19 and 18. Number 21, do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore. Leviticus 19 and 29. Number 22, ye shall do no unrighteous in judgment, in measure, in weight, or in measure, or the scales. Leviticus 19:35, meat yard. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure. Leviticus 19:35. Leviticus 19. Vaikra. 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 19:35. Yes, sir.
We saw the trash can man. We just saw it.
Good job. Leviticus Vaikra chapter 19, verse 35. Leviticus.
How you doing with this?
Almost. We only have one more page left. Do no unrighteousness in right ruling, in measurement of length, in weight, or in measuring liquids. Have right scales, right weights, a right ephah, and a right hin. And I am Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim. I just want to see what that meat yard was. Number 23, just balance, just weight, ye shall have. Leviticus 19:36. The trash man came. Number 24, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor. Tell him about it. If he does anything wrong, tell him about it if he does anything wrong. But what they gonna say today? Mind your own business. Tell him about it if he does anything wrong, and not suffer sin upon him. Leviticus 19:17. There are two ways to hate thy brother. Number one, when you believe that he did something wrong or behaved in a way you detest. Or number two, because you hate yourself. In other words, you hate him and yourself because the skin is black. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. That's not your stomach. That's your chest. That's your chest. In other words, you hate him and yourself because the skin is black, and you have the notion that black people are racially inferior. This kind of hatred is referred to as self-hatred. Self-hatred results by lacking the knowledge of the greatness of our ancestors and the contribution that they rendered for the advancement of world civilization and the betterment of mankind. You can read about the great exploits of black people by reading the first book from Babylon to Timbuktu. Some of us don't know our great history because our oppressors deprived us of it. They distorted our history deliberately and systematically misinterpreted our history and flavored it with race prejudice in order to leave us with an inferiority complex. One story out of many that I heard when I was a boy was that the Africans swung through the trees like monkeys, but in reality, the only people whom I ever saw swinging through trees were Tarzan and Jane, yelling like mad people. As we can see, this kind of self-hatred is derived from not having racial pride and a knowledge of our history. The Almighty Creator directed us to love our brother and sisters. Now, it is logical to conclude that he wants us to love ourselves. That's a pecan. It's a pecan. Indirectly, he is saying, love thyself, and anyone who does not love himself violates God's laws. He wants us to be happy with ourselves, but not to be egotistical. If any individual doesn't love himself or his race, how in the world can he work together for his community or humanity? It is not likely that it is the basic reason the black race in America finds it an insurmountable problem to muster concerted effort to accomplish our objective. As a consequence, we are impotent and incapable of acquiring real social, economical, and political power. For example, if we have had unity, organization, and power, the black people in Miami would not have had to succumb to the final resort of rampant violence to release and demonstrate their rage against repetitive injustice. On the other hand, if blacks had strong power and magnanimous and dedicated leaders, they would have been mandated by the black people to make sure that the trial was not moved to another area of the state. They would have made sure that at least half of the jurors were black, and they would have made sure that the jury was not reduced from 12 to 6 members. Summary. Some of you might ask the questions. I'm almost done. Almost done, man. Almost done.
Almost done?
Yep, this is the last page.
The last page?
Yes, sir. It's the last page. Summary. Some of you might ask the question, couldn't some of these curses apply to other races? Yes, some of them could. But not even one half of the curses apply to others. However, in order for the prophecy of Moses to be confirmed, all of them must apply to the same people intended. When all of these curses apply, then it shall be confirmed who are the original Israelites. Considering the evidence demonstrated in from Babylon to Timbuktu and the evidence supplied in this book, I must conclude without a doubt that all these curses are applicable to the black man in the Western Hemisphere. Make no mistake about it. Earlier, I mentioned 5 or 6 classifications of curses. Number 1, worldwide dispersal. Number 2, psychological curses. Number 3, biological and physical curses. Number 4, economic curses. Number 5, loss of identity or nationality. These curses do not apply to the white races because they simply do not fit the total description of these curses. The Europeans were not imported to America in large numbers by compulsion of captive slaves. Only a few were indentured servants for a limited number of years, but the vast majority of the Europeans came to the American as free immigrants. The Europeans did not sustain the destruction of their manhood, history, identity, language, or culture, nor did they lose the protection of the law. The Europeans were not exploited economically, but became the masters of exploitation. The Europeans did not sustain chronic psychological degradation or gross physical mutilation comparable to that of the black man. On the contrary, he inflicted the psychological and physical punishment. In closing, let me add that according to history and the Bible, all of these curses were supposed to happen to the black people because the original Israelites were black with woolly hair. For additional information on the blackness of the ancient Israelites, read Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2, Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 21, Revelations chapter 1, verse 14 and 15, Ezekiel chapter 40, verse 3, Daniel chapter 7, verse 9, Song of Solomon chapter 1, verse 5, and Lamentations chapter 5, verse 10. Woo-wee! That was a long one, seemed like. But that was chapter 3. That was the rest of chapter 3.
Are you done with that?
Yes, I'm just finished.
It's getting done.
No, it's not. We still got some time. Daddy got to start cooking. We got to cook the cornbread. The cornbread, yes, sir. The cornbread. Watch your head, my boy. That was second part of chapter 3. The curse of the loss of identity from the Valley of the Dry Bones by Dr. Rudolphf R.WINDSOR.
DJ out.
Oh, you trying to rush me off, huh?
DJ out.
You trying to rush me off.
DJ out.
Mm-hmm. Well, get out. Well, go ahead and go. Dad, I'm daddy to you, my boy. Daddy out.
DJ out. Man
And daddy out. Wait, yeah, till next time. Till next time, man. Hey, I'd like to welcome all the new subscribers, man. Thank y'all.
We didn't DJ.
Thank y'all for pushing the subscriptions up.
We didn't DJ.
Hey, all praises, man. All praises.
We
Apparently, somebody want to hear it, so I'm gonna keep reading.
DJ.
I want to hear it. I'll be reading myself. I'm going back listening to my own stuff so I can hear how I sound. Hear how I sound and see if there's anything I could make improvements on. Especially how I'm reading. Yeah, give my slipper. Give my other slipper. Let them read. Let them read. Let them read. Let them read.
Let them read. Let them read. Let them race. Let them race. Let them race. Let them race.
Boy, get out of here.
Let them race. Let them race.
Yeah, but thank you. Thank y'all and welcome to the new subscribers. Like I said, we'll keep pushing and we'll come back next time with chapter 4 of the Valley of the Dry Bones. Chapter 4, the resurrection of a dead nation. I guess that's the bones rising out the ground. The resurrection of a dead nation. Rising out the ground, man.
Rising out the ground.
The resurrection of a dead nation. There's the bones. The bones coming up out the ground and the flesh coming on their bodies.
I found the bones.
That's right. That's the bones.
The bones.
Mm-hmm.
The bones.
Where else are the bones? Where else?
We done already?
Yes, sir. I'm done. So we can go cook.
So good?
Yeah, we can go cook.
We done already?
Yes, sir. I'm done. Hey, well, until next time. Till next time, we're reading with Shilo, man. Shilo out. Shilo out. Shalom.
We done already?
Yeah, we done, my boy.
You done already?
Yes, sir. We done, my boy.
Daddy, you done already?
Mm-hmm.
You done already?